Hospital Porters Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV and welcome once again to Oxford. I'm actually in a very unusual part of Oxford, which I'm going to be showing you a little bit more of as we go along, but it's actually what's called the Oxford Science Area, and I'm not sure whether that's completely unique, but it's very unusual, and we have an actual entire district of the town which it's actually written in the planning laws and everything that it is completely dedicated to science, and all the laboratories, the engineering department, physics, chemistry, biology, medicine, all those things are concentrated in this area. And it's basically an area along here where I am now, which is St Cross Street, down Holywell Street, Parks Road, up near Keble Road, and that area. If you look on the map, you'll see where it is. We're going to begin this tour by showing you a very unusual thing, which is actually at the edge of the science area, and it's something which I showed you with the opening shot of this video. It's this church here. Now it looks like an ordinary church. There's a cemetery, there's the church, there's the tower, and of course churches have clocks in the tower very often. This one doesn't. This one has a sundial. That is very unusual, and that date there is, let me see, Roman numerals, 1500, 16, 17, 18, that's 1803, I think, in Roman numerals, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's a church at the edge of the science area, and I wonder if that's significant. We'll see. As you can see, the Oxford Science Area has its own Wikipedia page. Science Area is an area in Oxford, England, where most of the science departments of Oxford University are located. It's got a little picture of it there. It doesn't actually say whether this is a unique situation in the world of actually where you actually have an area dedicated to science with civil boundaries, but it does tell you where it is. South of University Parks. It's located to the south of the University Parks, to the north of South Parks Road, bounded by Parks Road to the west, and also there's a triangle of land bounded by Banbury Road and Keble Road, and Parks Road to the north east, opposite University Parks. So here's Oxford on the map. I showed you this map many times. There's the University Parks there. So it's this area to the south of the University Parks, between South Parks Road, Parks Road there. So you have that area here. This is where I was just now, where it's St Cross Road there. This is where we saw. I'm working my way up here to Lineacre College, and around that corner there. That's where you'll see me in the next segment. That's where that church is. Just where's that church? It's down here somewhere. St Cuthbert's Church is. Where is it? There we are. No, St Cross Church. There it is. And just have a quick look at it on the overhead earth view. There's the church and there's the sundial on the side of the church. So let us continue. Well, I don't know how well you can see that sign, but that is there, the Oxford University Medical Sciences Division, Medical Sciences Teaching Centre. This is just one example of the various science-based institutions all along this road here, as you can see. This is called Sherrod Road. I don't think these are actual public streets, these are just an Edward Abraham Road. Presumably these are famous scientists. I don't think these are public streets, these particular areas, but then there's the building behind you there, and there's a newer building there. There's an old building just through those trees there, and here's a kind of 1960s concrete pile over here, which is pretty ugly, as you see there. Yeah. So this buildings of different periods in which they were constructed over the years, and just shows that the science tradition in this area is very long, because this whole, as I said, this whole area is based on science, and it's been that way for a long time. Now you may wonder why this should be of interest from the Panwo-esque angle, and the reason is because, as I think I've said before in several videos, the secrecy involved in the university, the covert nature of a lot of what it does. The Oxford University is one of the richest institutions in the world. It has a public budget of many billions of pounds, but it also has a black budget. like the US government has its own black budget and things like that. It is involved in various projects to do with various corporations, governments, things like that. And it's not just about place where students come, they learn stuff, they get drunk, you know, strip naked and run along the streets. It's not just that. It is about it does involve covert government research and things like that. And a lot of that, of course, is going to be science-based. And if it's going on at all, it's going on here. This is a bit further along St Cross Road. I come up around the corner. If you look on the map, you'll be able to see where I am. I'll show you a bit more on the map perhaps when I get back. Now, this building here is very new. This building here was only put up a few years ago. As you can tell, it's quite modern in its appearance. High security fence there. CCTV cameras. No doubt they're filming us at the same time I'm filming them. That's fine with me. But this building here, when it was being constructed, actually hit international and national headlines because there was an awful lot of controversy surrounding it. Because one of the things, of course, is done in medical research is they use animals as subjects for experiments into various new drugs and new methods and things like that, and that is extremely controversial. And I knew a guy who was a security guard at the hospital who told me he used to be a security guard in that building there, and he was on his patrols one night and he went into the wrong place, and there was this loud screaming noise, and he realised there was a cage ahead of him. It was quite dark, and he looked in the cage. He saw there was an ape there, like an orangutan or something, in a cage, no doubt being used for some sort of experiment. The international and national headlines involving this centre, in this project here, and of course that building there is part of it. This is South Parks Road, sorry, not St Cross's Road, was that this is quite openly going to be used for animal research. There they are filming us again. This building is quite openly planning to be used for animal research, and a lot of people don't like that. It's very, very controversial. Now, I mean, I can see their point of view. I mean, whether generally it's wrong to actually use animal subjects for medical experiments, I'm not sure. That's a complicated business. But the truth of the matter is, of course, while this medical experimentation is going on in various places, there are medications which are kept off the market for financial and commercial reasons, as well as control and power and political reasons. Now we're getting into the realm here, which I think I've spoken about before. You can hear a lot about on YouTube and on various other websites. But there's a good film. If you go to YouTube, you can actually see it. It's called World Without Cancer. Do go and see that, because it talks about B17, laetrile nitrilicide, whatever it's called. This was an anti-cancer drug, which is extremely cheap to make. It can be produced from the pits of apricots, yet it was kept off the market because it worked too well. The narrator of the video actually compares it to the discovery that eating fruit stopped sailors getting scurvy. He made the point that, you know, the sailors used to come down with scurvy. It was all down to some sort of germ, but they realised the sailors weren't getting enough vitamin C from fruit. Anyway, there was a big protest here involving this animal research. I don't think it took that into account. I think they were more generally, it was a more general protest. But I think the point is that, I think the point of the matter is that why is medical experimentation going on, often causing a lot of pain and suffering and death to various animals, when at the same time, for reasons of money, greed, power, control, politics, treatments are being kept back from us? I'll just show you the notice that's been pinned to this tree here. See if I can set out the sun here. This is an order, as you can see here. You can't really see it. This was an order that was put up here, meaning that this area here, feel free to pause and, God, this is too small to read. It's from the High Court of Justice, Queen's Bench Division, all about This area is a special area, security area. I'm going to be, knowing me, I'm going to be probably arrested pretty soon. I'll carry on along here anyway, and I'll show you this building here. God knows what's going on inside. You see, I mean, there's a lot of secret stuff going on. I mean, I'll post a link to my video, sorry, the article I wrote about ape men and humans and human experimentation, because there's a video called Chimera, and it's actually a science fiction thriller that was on TV a few years ago. It's on YouTube now. Please do watch it, because it's an example of the kind of secret stuff that might be going on behind the walls of buildings like this. I'm going to carry on along here now. It's actually early on a Sunday morning. It's about 8:15 on a Sunday morning, because that's the only time you can actually film around here, because this road, South Parks Road, and along there, these roads turn into each other, but there's some cross road along there. These roads are so busy, you can it's actually too noisy here to actually film. And look at what's on the end there. So this sort of marks one of the edges of the science area. Regular Hapanwo TV viewers will recognise that building. It's Rhodes House. How about that? I wonder if that is deliberate or not. Okay, well, you see where we are now. I'm just standing in this area here, and these buildings here you can see ahead of you, and University of Oxford Chemistry Research Laboratory. That is this new area here. Where's Hollywell Street? No, it's Parks Road. Where's Hollywell? There we are. It's this area here. Let me just go to overhead view. The new part, which is, there it is. You can see they've still got, this was taken when it was still being built. This building here, which is the place where the animal rights people were protesting. You can, it's not visible on this overhead, on this view here, but there was originally a big protest camp here, where people were basically sitting 24/7 to protest against the building of the laboratory. For the reasons I explain in the film. This is another part of it here, Chemistry Research Laboratory there. And there's Rhodes House. Now, what I'm going to do now is take a slightly different tack and take you somewhere else. It is connected to everything here, and it's not in the science area, but it's still connected to this whole subject. Right, I've come a short distance from where I was before in the Oxford Science area, and I've moved to a very, very different location, but one I'm sure you're familiar with if you've watched these videos regularly. But not only that, if you watch Hapanwo TV, but if you're interested in any way in tourism and sites and locations to visit, because this is what's known as the heart of Oxford. Through there is Oxford's sexiest place, if you remember my little video there. There's the Sheldonian Theatre. This is Queen's Lane. It's here I saw the signboard with the strange symbols on it. Now, that's going back a few years, but I thought that was worth filming at the time. But as I'm walking along here, you can see this is sort of like the area which you do often get tourist photos taken of and things like that. Just come along here and you'll see this is Broad Street, and that's the Bodleian Library, which I mentioned before. Broad Street. The Bodleian Library has these big underground vaults with the really rare books in, and the secret place and things like that, which I've spoken about before. Beautiful day, no chemtrails at all, perfect blue sky you don't often see. And I think that's quite ironic, because the reason I've actually brought you to this place is to show you something and talk about something which is plonked right here in the heart of Oxford, and I think is very, very relevant to the mission of Hapanwo TV. It's this building here I'm particularly talking about. The Oxford Martin School, 34 Broad Street. And here's the door, see? Tight security, of course. You can't get in there unless you're one of them. Anyway, the reason I brought you here is because the Oxford Martin School, it's set up by Dr. John Martin, and this is quite recently actually. It was in 2005. Before that, it was the Indian Institute. You see, they've still got the old. They've still got the old writing above the door. But I think it's particularly relevant. One reason it's relevant is because I was just pointing out there are no chemtrails, and that is the irony, because it is in the Oxford Martin School that you actually find Oxford's geoengineering project. And let's go. I'll go home and I'll tell you a bit more about that there. Okay, apologies to panel TV viewers, I got the name wrong. It's Dr. James Martin who founded the Oxford Martin School. You see there. And it is he for whom the school is, or after whom the school is named. After whom, I'm not American. And it talks here, for 25 years, James Martin was the highest selling author of books on computing and related technology. He published 67 textbooks with Prentice Hall, and it talks about the achievements of this guy. Here we go. It shows that lectures and videos provided the funds for establishing the Oxford Martin School, Oxford University, the largest benefaction to Oxford in its almost 900-year history. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe, quite frankly. But we're talking about the official thing, not the black budget. As I've explained, Oxford University has a black budget. But it talks a little bit more about the Oxford Martin School. Let's go to its homepage. And the first thing you see is factory chimneys releasing carbon dioxide. Are you the missing piece? Are you experienced collaborative researcher? And here we have women's rights. You see, it all sounds very benign, doesn't it? You know, it's creative coalitions at the C40 summit. We're talking about women's rights. It's very politically correct. We've got black people involved. It all looks very cozy and very cuddly. You know, it looks perfectly benign to me. It's got this image of being very, very sort of like ecumenical and embracing and inclusive and kind. I mean, no one's going to suspect an organisation like this could ever do anything bad, could they? What about? Let's just see what they're about. The great challenges of our time, such as rapid globalisation, population growth, emerging pandemics, coming out of Fort Detrick, climate change, share our future, all refuse to sit neatly within traditional academic disciplines. So we need a new team to deal with it. Our response is the Oxford Martin School. Now let's just see what they research. Let's just have a look. Right. Aging populations, cities, armed conflict, climate change, computational cosmology, economic development of food. You see, this is all the stuff to do which I've talked about before. I'll put a link in the description box to my video on overpopulation and what all that means. Migration. It's all, again, this very Agenda 21, extremely Agenda 21 indeed. Blimey, it's a mind and machine. Here we go. This is the stuff to do with transhumanism and stuff like that. The Ray Kurzweil kind of thing, where they want to turn us into robots. And as I've said before, this is all portrayed as something very, very benign. Ray Kurzweil says it's the singularity, it's the new age where we'll live in a paradise where we're all enhanced men, supermen, you know, supercomputers within our brains. We'll live forever. We can just download our software to other bodies and stuff like this, and we'll live forever. We'll have the potential mind power of a supercomputer mixed with our own. And so, as Max Egan has pointed out, if you watch Max Egan's excellent documentary on transhumanism, you're more likely, you're not going to end up some kind of Aryan Superman stroke mental genius, advanced technological wonderful being. You're more likely to be like an Epsilon from Brave New World, Aldous Huxley's nightmarish image of the future where everyone is bred to do a particular job. Most people just end up like Epsilons, these creatures that are bred to be of low intelligence because they only do simple machines. So, in other words, what Egan was saying was this sort of thing could strip us of our humanity. And maybe that's the idea. Miles Johnston's done a lecture about transhumanism as well. He did one in London I went to see. And he has the same fears, that this is simply part of the New World Order to turn us into, we're not going to be human anymore, we're going to be subhuman slaves to the Illuminati. And we carry on, oh my God. Am I seeing things? I'm not, am I? Geoengineering. Oxford's Geoengineering programme. Our research centres around the question of what, if any, geoengineering techniques could most effectively be employed and how such global processes might be governed. Geoengineering is important. Here we go. Why is it important? Geoengineering is the deliberate large-scale... Did I read that correctly? Sorry, I'm still a bit shocked. How such global processes might be governed. Geoengineering is the deliberate large-scale intervention of the Earth's natural systems to address climate change. Although we believe that society's first priority should be to reduce global carbon emissions in dealing with climate change, it may be wise to consider geoengineering to reduce the harmful levels of carbon. Oh no, they do call it carbon dioxide this time. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Again, this carbon dioxide thing. How we are different, except the fact we're so wonderfully liberal and so wonderfully open. No one would ever suspect us of doing anything wrong. Our programme is a unique partnership that includes engineers, natural scientists and experts in governance to focus equally on robust science and thoroughly considered ethics. Oh, that's nice. A core component of our activity includes engagement with policymakers, opinion formers, environmental NGOs to build a collaborative and multi-perspective platform for open debate. Bloody hell. Well, I mean, that's hardly a comprehensive statement, is it, that little paragraph there? I mean, there's hardly any words under 4 syllables. And again, this makes me suspicious when they launder their intentions behind fancy words. That's my concern anyway. Let's go back to the home page anyway. What else have we got? Cyber security, that's Big Brother in other places. Biodiversity. This is all very Orwellian. All videos. They've got a YouTube channel. Here we go. Let's have a look at their YouTube channel. Here we go. 21 School. See, 21, Agenda 21. As you can see, I have subscribed to it. This is their channel, 21 School, Agenda 21 sort of thing. Let's have a look at their videos. You see, I have subscribed to it because I always believe in that saying, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And here we go. Is the planet full? Panel discussion on overpopulation. And there we are, see? And of course, I think, give that a dislike. Yeah, right. I've watched this video actually, and although it comes across as very a very sensible, academic, civilized discussion, it's not the people in. It's not the tone of the actual discussion that's important. It's the people in the audience, and it's the undertones. It's the subtext. It's the people who I'll explain more in the next part of this video, but it's basically within these audience there may be 5 or 6 people who'll be listening and nodding their heads and clapping and saying yeah, but deep down they'll be thinking, no, we need something more drastic, which I'll be talking about in the next part of this video. But it's very apt actually, because I'll just show you her Panmo voice for a moment. Mike Rupert died the other day. Now this was a guy who was against the New World Order. He was against. He was exposing 9/11. He was exposing intelligence agencies and how they were running drugs into the United States. But he believed in carbon. He believed in overpopulation. He believed in. He believed in all these other things such as peak oil and stuff like that, which is all designed to justify the New World Order. So in other words, I think he was a very confused man, and it's a real shame he's gone, because I think he was a very genuine and honest and decent man. But he wanted to stop the New World Order, and he didn't understand that the very things that he was afraid of were the very things that were being engineered deliberately in order to create an artificial collapse. I mean, his film is called Collapse. Talks about a future collapse of civilization due to a loss of resources and carbon and things like that. But he doesn't understand that the collapse is going to be engineered. He doesn't understand about free energy. He never addresses the free energy cover-up or his the environment, other technology. I think that was an elementary mistake he made. So, but all I can say is rest in peace. It's not my intention to criticise him at this point. Anyway, on to the next part of this video, because it'll be very interesting stuff I'm sure there's more very interesting things to talk about here. These are the various things you can watch. Not all of it makes sense, but there's a lot of talk about transhumanism, mapping and identifying biodiversity using technology to understand our ecosystem, artificial intelligence, examining the interface between the brain and machine. This is real Ray Kurzweil stuff. Anyway, let's just see what we can find at the Martin School. So that's where it all happens, in the Oxford Martin School. And we see the Oxford Martin School here, right below a chemtrail-free sky. Let's cross back over. Now, this is very, very strange, because, I mean, as I said before, saying earlier on, that if there are secret science projects going on, Oxford University is probably involved with it. They have a black budget, they have secret operations, they're involved in confidential contracts with governments and corporations. Now, the thing is, geoengineering itself is not secret. On theoretical grounds, a thought experiment, geoengineering ideas have been going on for a long time. There's even been a couple of small-scale experiments being done. For instance, I think a couple of years ago, somebody dumped a load of iron filings into the sea. I think it was the Pacific Ocean. And this was to encourage the growth of marine organisms to offset and capture carbon, TM, which is actually carbon dioxide gas, but it's been rebranded as carbon. Now, carbon is a major concern of the Oxford Martin School geoengineering project, as I showed you in those videos and documents. So, if geoengineering is going on theoretically, it's a thought experiment, and this goes back to something I saw when I was a little kid, and for some reason it stuck in my mind, even though I didn't know back then what I know now. But I remember seeing this on TV as a small child. The programme I was watching was Tomorrow's World. Now, I don't know how many of you remember this programme called Tomorrow's World. It's not been on for a few years now. But they had a project. They had a piece on the programme in which they discussed the problem of carbon, although it wasn't called that then, but basically global warming, climate change, whatever you choose to call it. They were discussing this problem, and they said that a solution had been suggested by which you could put chemicals into the atmosphere, create a layer of chemical fog in the atmosphere that would reflect sunlight back into space, and so it would increase the Earth's albedo. In other words, it would increase the reflectivity of the Earth. To make more and more heat from the sun bounce back out into space, which would cool the Earth down. It'd be basically like a parasol for the Earth. I think that's what they said. Now, this programme, let me stress again, it's sometime in the 1980s this was, said that how could this chemical fog actually be put into the Earth's atmosphere. One of the things they suggested was it could be sprayed by high-flying aircraft. One of there were some side effects, there were some downsides, and one of those was that you would get increase in acid rain, and that it would produce a white sky instead of a blue sky. Well, what do we see? We certainly see white skies mostly. This blue sky, as Sophia Smallstorm and Cliff Carnicum and many others have pointed out, is a very rare thing. So what I'm suggesting is that geoengineering is more than a thought experiment. Geoengineering actually is been discussed publicly as a proposal, as a possibility of what we can do in the future, maybe, if we choose to do it. But in secret, it's actually been started, and it's been going on for a long time. And the truth of the matter is, if that is the case, then the Oxford Martin School is probably involved in it, and it is actually being organised from behind these walls here, beneath this blue, pristine sky. There are people within this building who may want to put a stop to it, so we don't get any more of these blue skies. Or it's possible this is just front organisation, and no one at the Oxford Martin School is involved, and it's just basically the actual work is being done somewhere else. And maybe this is just. But you can bet though, if if these operations are being planned and carried out somewhere else, they will put what should I call them, talent scouts into organisations like the Oxford Martin School to try and sort of like spot someone who might be recruited to the project. Now, I mean, one thing the skeptics always say is that, look, Ben, chemtrails can't be real, they can't be going on, because if they were, you know, too many people would have to be involved. All these people, it's a huge project, thousands and thousands of people would have to be involved in it. You can't get that many people to keep a secret. You can't. Someone would blow the whistle. Well, the truth of the matter is, not everyone involved in the project would need to know what it's about. For instance, the pilots who fly the planes don't need to know that you know, what they're releasing, that what their plane is releasing has anything to do with any project. These people who would just be told, you fly the plane in this direction. And these planes do exist. Jackie Noyes, she's discovered this using flight radar, and she's one of several people who've made this observation. Planes appear in our sky which are not registered on air traffic control. And what's more, you know, there may be people who are involved, and I mean, as I explained with Dr. Martin when you saw him being interviewed, I think there's people involved in this project secretly who are doing it because they actually believe that they're doing something good. They're doing something that it's a necessary evil. They're saying, well, I don't want to go and put chemicals and poison in the atmosphere. I don't want to exterminate large numbers of people to reduce the Earth's population. I don't want to infect the biological world with genetically modified organisms, but we have to do it, because if we don't, the alternative is so much worse. We'll have chaos and anarchy and a crash, and which was, I think Dr. Martin used the word anarchy and chaos and things like that. He uses words like that. So I think there are a number of people actually recruited into these various projects, whether it's chemtrails, whether it's population reduction, whether it's GMOs. There are a number of people recruited into these projects who are sincere. And even at a very, very high level, there may be people involved who are genuinely believe they're doing it. You know, they're breaking eggs to make an omelette. Do you see what I mean? Of course, at a higher level, there's going to be people who know better. There's going to be people who know very well that the agenda is nothing to do with saving the Earth. It's to create a new world order. As I've said many times, it's, you know, that it's this overpopulation thing. It's crap. All right, climate change. It's crap. Ironically, there's a lot of things we are doing that is damaging to the Earth, which no one seems to care about. Nuclear power, things like that, chemical pollution, deforestation, cutting down the rainforests, polluting lakes and oceans with oil. I mean, these things are lower priority than carbon and things like that. Same with overpopulation. I've done my video on overpopulation. You'll see it in the description box if I remember to put it in. So people in the Oxford Martin School, there'll be some people who go here because they are genuinely worried and genuinely concerned, because they believe the official story that things like carbon and climate change, overpopulation, etc., 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 are a genuine danger that faces the Earth. Well, the truth of the matter is, these are not genuine dangers. The genuine danger comes from the New World Order, which has been created by the Illuminati bloodlines, an orbiting prison camp, a global fascist communist state. But in order to build this global fascist communist state, they need people involved who think it's necessary. It has to be done, because if it's not done, the Earth will die. That's the way they get people into these projects, and it's a lie. It's a lie. And unfortunately, if this organisation, the Oxford Martin School, is not actually involved in that, then they will certainly be, it's certainly a recruiting ground for getting people who will be. And the fact that this building has been placed here in this very prestigious location in the heart of Oxford, I think it's a statement to say how important it is. as I've said before, Oxford, this city you see around us, is the world's principal Illuminati training centre. I've shown you Rhodes House, I've shown you several other things. This is where the Illuminati, the New World Order agenda, both recruits and trains the next generation of individuals and organisations who they want and they think are worthy of taking part in this great work of the ages. Well, Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stopped the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV yet again, and I've moved a short distance from where I was before. In fact, it's quite a long distance. It's a good half hour's walk actually. Well, half hour's walk for a Hospital Porter, about an hour's walk for everybody else. But I'm at Botley. This is it's in the far west of Oxford, and I'm not far from the Botley flyover. And you can show you a bit of the scenery here. This is what's known as Botley Cathedral. But it's actually an office building which has housed various offices and organisations over the years, like Halfords. It used to be Halfords, now it's something else. There used to be a garage underneath it. There's these pylons here going over this location. I'm sure if Ellis Taylor is watching this, he'll be able to tell you an awful lot about this area, because he's the expert on esoteric Oxford. But the reason I brought you here is that something happened here a long time ago, which I think is relevant to everything I've been showing you, which might be relevant to everything I've been showing you today. It happened 39 years ago, not far from here. I can't show you the actual location where it happened because it actually happened right up there on the flyover. Now that's the sign. I'll show you where we are on the map in a moment, but that's the sign leading. We're on the A420. Just if you walk up round there, you'll see where it is. I'm not sure. I can't walk up. There's no pavement, and I can't walk on the road. It's like a dual carriageway. But something very strange happened in 1975, and I first heard about that in this book, The Modern Mysteries of Britain: 100 Years of Strange Events, by Janet and Colin Board. It's quite an old book, as you see. I've had it quite a long time. I was given it when I was a kid, I think. But the event we're discussing, I've marked the page. It's in chapter 6, in a section called Mysterious Deaths and Injuries, and it discusses this event and what it was. In 1975, an unidentified body of a man was found lying on the ground on the road at the West Botley flyover near Oxford. That is that over there, just around the corner, which I'll show you on the map in a moment. He was carrying no identity papers, no driving licence, nothing, no passport, nothing, and the manufacturer's labels had been removed from his clothes. He was very well dressed. He was wearing a neatly pressed pinstripe suit, but he did have in his pockets 5 handkerchiefs with the letter M on them. No one knows what that is, but he also had 15 tablets of a drug called Vivalan. And to add to the mystery, this drug was so new at the time that few people knew about it, and no one knew who M was. It had only been prescribed to a few patients. Now, Vivalan as a drug actually was used very commonly after that. It was an antidepressant. It was used to help children suffering from bedwetting, things like that. I suppose the question is, what was that guy doing there? If he's on, did he walk up here? I mean, you'd have to walk along the side of the road. Did he fall? Was someone push him? Who was he? He's never been identified. Never been formally identified at all. After almost 40 years, that mystery still remains a mystery. Why was he killed? If he was murdered, why was he murdered? I mean, there's no. He'd fallen from the flyover onto the road, and he had this experimental new drug in his pocket that was not freely available at the time. Is there a connection between that event here in Botley and the science area of Oxford that I showed you? Maybe this is just a little glimpse we've got here into the secret sciences of Oxford and some of the secret operations and various other machinations, the covert black world of Oxford University that I've been discussing in this programme. Anyway, I'll just show you where we are on the map. We are here on the map. I'll just show you. I'm just standing about there. On this here is the Botley flyover. This is the area I can't reach because there's no pedestrian access. But this is where the science area is. So you see we've come a little bit of a walk. I had to walk along there to get to here. So it's quite a distance. But I can't help thinking, let's just look at it from overhead. That's where I'm standing, just there. Okay. And there is the place called, where is it? I can't see it so well from above, but it's a place known as Botley Cathedral. He's just there, I believe. Yeah, that's the place known as Botley Cathedral, the big tall building. Again, I'm interested to get Ellis Taylor's take on that. I can't help thinking that somehow what happened to that man was related to the Oxford secret science agendas. If you actually Google Botley flyover dead man 1976, you'll find lots of different hits from these various all of, like this one here, unknown man. No, that's unknown. Here we go. Where is it? Unknown man, 1975. Sorry, not 1976. Found dead under the West Botley flyover near Oxford. I'll put the wrong year in, so I'm not on the ball today. Very, very sorry. Here we go. Paging all PH detectives. Here we go. 1975, unknown man found dead under the West Botley flyover near Oxford. Dead from the fall to the road. Newly pressed three-piece suit. No labels, no clothes, nothing. Cue the Twilight Zone music. Anyway, I'll show you where that is. The best thing to do is actually go to Street View. Where's the little man? There we go. I'll just sort of like pretend I'm driving in a car along here. That's it. It's this place here, what you see ahead of you. So, I don't know whether it's this bridge or the next one along, but this is a circle of roads here, which is the West Botley flyover. It's a big circle. You can just see the circular little upper carriageway there. It was one of these roads in 1975 this man fell and landed here. A man who's never been identified. All kinds of mysterious things to do with this. This is just, there's many other subjects I could actually talk about when it comes to the various mysteries of this mysterious city. But this is just one example, and I just thought I'd show you where that is. If any more information comes to light on this or any of the other subjects I've discussed in this programme this evening, then I shall let you know. But at the moment we're all a bit in the dark. Whether, I don't know, after all these years, whether any of these mysteries will be solved, I don't know. But I think the geoengineering angle, I think, is something we can campaign on. I'll just show you where the Martin School is actually on the map. Here we go. Cat Street, and it's there. Oxford Martin School, see? Oxford Martin School. Right in the heart of Oxford, by the Sheldonian and the Bodleian and everything. Oh, yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed that little tour there of Oxford secret science. As an anti-New World Order researcher and activist, I am probably in the best place in the world, I think, living right here in Oxford. And believe me, they're not going to get away with anything without me trying my best to find out about it. So you can depend, if there's any future developments, there'll be another film on Hapanmo TV telling you all about it, no matter what the subject, no matter how severe, no matter how serious. So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.